Coming up next on the Weekly Pass, we've got Dez Bryant news, we've got NBA playoffs, Manny Pacquiao, and our guest, David Aldridge from TNT. All that and more coming up.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Where's our music?
I know, we need music.
No music.
We'll just jam to ourselves here
Marissa,
today.
did we forget to have a song? That was so sad.
Just internally think Kendrick Lamar.
Just imagine
you know.
something. We'll just be
I
here
was like,
dancing to it.
That's why there was like that pause. Because I was like, oh, wait, our music. Okay. Well, welcome to the Weekly Pass. No music intro, but we are here again. New time.
Yeah, it's great.
New hour, but fabulous time, right?
Fabulous time.
So
Nice.
energized. I'm Bonnie Jill
good.
Laflin, your host, and you can catch me at BJ Laflin on Twitter and at Bonnie Jill on Instagram and Facebook. And we are joined by my co-host and a new guest co-host.
Hi
David,
there.
say hello to everyone.
Hi, I'm David Bloom. That's my last name. You can find me at David H. Bloom on both Instagram and Twitter. That's my name. Look how convenient.
Yes.
And you're an NBA
I am
guru, right?
Oh, for sure. I have been a Clippers fan for probably 17 years.
I'm sorry.
17 years old. Yeah. It's,
Oh boy.
We've been through it all.
But you're loyal, so I appreciate
It's
that.
So good.
it's about the loyalty.
So good.
Yeah.
No
I've been-
playoffs again this year.
No playoffs this year,
Yeah.
but we've had our fortunes. We'll take the two
Yeah.
lotteries. It's
It's
a
weird.
lot.
No
That's
playoffs
right.
for Lakers or Clippers this year.
It feels weird. No LA
Well,
teams in the playoffs.
Very weird.
But we got playoffs in hockey.
And we've got
We do.
Becky.
What's up, guys? I'm Becky Sattero. You can find me on all social media at Becky Sattero. I want to jump in. Thank you so much for joining us on the live chat. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, shame on you. Join us now at BJL Weekly Pass.
Yes.
Yay.
So much going on.
Lots.
I mean, I don't even know like where to begin because there's so much going on. But let's first start with my poor Cowboys.
I know.
Poor
I almost brought
Cowboys.
tissues for you.
Oh, I was in mourning. I'll
Yeah,
be
I know.
completely honest. I was in mourning. I'm friends with Dez, so that
Sure.
was also very kind of tough. He's done so much help with my charity Hounds and Heroes, helping
Sure.
with Wounded Warriors, and spending time with them. And I'm not talking about whether you're a Cowboys fan or not, but you have to appreciate someone that helps with charity. And
Good guy.
yeah, good guy. I know he's had some off the field problems, but I love his heart. I love his
Yep.
passion. And I know he hasn't contributed like the Cowboys wanted to. And Michael Irvin told me, who's a friend of the show, that there was a little bit of, fire from Dez with fighting kind of back and forth and even fighting with the people that were trying to keep him there.
Sure.
And they just kind of were like, all right, you're not getting the numbers that we want. Plus, there's so much animosity. Let's just all move on and move forward.
Well, and 16.5 million is a pretty deep
Yeah.
pocket, too.
Right.
It is a lot.
And it's tough, because you always think, okay, well, the Cowboys, that's the number one receiver that you're getting rid of, So what now? You tried to think, okay, well, Odell Beckham Jr. So what happens? Are the Giants going to get rid of him? And then that's when the magic comes, and the Giants are like, okay, well, we're done
So is
with
it true
that,
he
with
wants
that
to stay,
situation.
He wants to
off the
stay in
field.
NFC, right? NFC East. He wants to
Dez?
stay. Yes.
Yes, and
Okay.
he wants
Really?
to because he wants revenge on Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, who he plays them 2 times a year, being in the
Wow.
same division. I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
Sources are saying that the Ravens are
Yeah, I've heard a
showing
lot about the
showing
Ravens.
the most interest. And it's funny though because they've already signed Michael Crabtree and John Brown,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
improve their
Mm-hmm.
receiving core, and so adding Dez Bryant would be complete, and
Yeah.
that would be
It would help that team so much. But
and it would really help with Flacco has
for
3
sure.
amazing targets.
but the thing is, does Dez? I feel like Dez as a player would want to go to a team that has a quarterback that can do things. And I think one of the reasons why he wasn't producing was because he's an amazing player. Like he's brings such an intensity to the game, like the Cowboys have done. That's kind of like their thing is
Right.
the intensity. But with a guy like Dak, whose main weapon is his running back, who
Zeke.
Zeke's gonna be back, and his own feet, it wouldn't work.
Right.
And I don't think Flacco is an elite enough quarterback for Dez to want to go
I don't either. You know
there.
where I think he fits the best? The 49ers.
Yeah. Ooh.
49ers
With Jimmy G.
Why is that?
Garoppolo?
Yeah, with
Why is
Jimmy
that?
G. With,
I
with-
thought about that.
Yeah, with Garoppolo, having that quarterback, and if you see the Niners, Pierre Garçon, he's not
They're-
getting
no, they're
any
improving,
younger.
though,
And
for
you
the
got to
Niners.
see they need that real big number one target.
Sure.
And think about it, Jimmy G he'll air it out,
He's
and he
been
will
good.
definitely make sure that Dez gets all the touches and gets these catches that he needs. I think it's a great fit. And Dez wants to go to a team that can be competitive.
Yes,
and it
no,
can
Dez
end up
doesn't want to
being-
be.
He doesn't want to just go somewhere to get
No,
the
of course
money and
not.
play. You know, that's why people are
That's
saying.
not who he is.
And like people are saying, oh, the Redskins. No, he doesn't want to go to the
Oh,
Redskins.
no.
He wants to go to a team, you know, whether it's in his division or not. He still wants a team that can be competitive and that can take him to the playoffs and hopefully to, you know,
Yeah.
the big dance at some point. So
He could be a shining star on those teams, though. Too,
He really
you know?
could. He would be utilized by a team with a better quarterback more than he would where he was on the Cowboys.
Sure.
And see, so Bryant was owed $12.5 million in the last 2 years with $16.5 million salary cap both times. So that release gives the Cowboys about $8.5 million to play
He
with.
just has so much left in the tank, though. I mean, I feel
Oh
like
my
no matter
gosh,
what,
so much.
But I guess I want to know, what do you think it came down to for the Cowboys? Just they don't feel like he was producing numbers,
Right, and I
essentially.
don't think kind of going off what you said, I don't really think him and Dak had that
Don't.
chemistry.
Zeke and Dak work
and
well,
that
but him
wasn't
no.
going to work. And Dez wasn't happy, you know.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying I really like seeing him go to the Niners. And who's the team that has a lot of salary cap space? The 49ers.
Sure.
49ers.
So.
Do you think it comes down to?
And I'm
who he
not just
can play
saying
with?
it's because that's my other team. So I was a cheerleader for the
Okay.
Niners and the Cowboys. So those are both my teams. I'm not just saying that, people, because I want to see Dez in another uniform that's mine, so then I can still be a fan.
Sure.
But I do see him that being a good fit. And John Lynch, the GM for the Niners, is not speaking a lot, but that's what they do. You know, he's not that kind of. You know, some
No,
teams put
they-
it out there that they want this guy.
They're silent. Like
Right.
when they got Garoppolo, I didn't like. It was one of those things, just like Dez being cut, where you check your phone and you kind of have to check it again
Right.
because you don't really think that it happened.
Oh, I didn't
It just-
even.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's such a shock. So
I was floored because I first
could-
off, you know, was told by so many people, you know, with the Cowboys, you know, the ownership, from Michael Irvin to, you know, so many different people inside the organization who said, no, Dez isn't going anywhere. They will figure it out.
Sure.
they say that with everyone, though.
but
That's the thing. They say that
they
with
didn't.
every single player.
Well-
And when he left, when he walked out the door, he said to Jerry, "I will see you 2 times a year." So but that was more of like the revenge, you know.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, he's going to want a team.
he plays
that
with
can
his
grow.
he plays with his heart, and when you play with your heart, you want revenge on the team that traded
Right.
you.
And he's a little bit, we all know how certain players are, a little sensitive. That's, you know, he
oh,
feels,
yeah.
you know, now
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got this chip on his shoulder, which I love when a player has a chip on their shoulder
Yeah.
going into that
Sure.
season.
It works.
Ooh.
It's just I don't know, because I heard a lot about. I'll talk a little biasly here. I'm a Packers fan.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I'm
sorry.
sorry for you.
I mean, I'm sorry for me now, but like I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah,
Like
well,
I'm sorry.
Especially when you know my Niners and Cowboys.
Yes. So, and I was thinking a lot about. Okay, well, we just cut Jordy Nelson. What if Dez were to come to the Green Bay Packers?
Right.
And then I thought about, well, no, that wouldn't work because of the history. For a guy like Dez, who plays with his heart, to come to a team that came back on them this season, that Mason Crosby field
Right.
goal,
and
50
Dez,
plus yards.
And Dez caught it. You know, so maybe how funny
Okay,
would that?
all right.
But
I
how
was just
funny would
gonna-
that be? But even the NFL said that Dez caught it. We all know the ruling now on that. But how funny would that be?
It would be-
now?
I think it'd
The
be very
switch that
funny.
you know, it's kind of a funny
I
story.
think it'd be interesting, but it's the history. It's like I don't know, like Mason Crosby went over and kicked for you guys. Like you
Right.
wouldn't like it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see though, because I just think at this point there's a lot of teams that have shown interest in Dez.
Oh,
and he's
they're
already-
going to.
and he has said
Sure.
no.
He's
like
an amazing-
the
sure, who
Bills, the
wouldn't?
Saints. There's certain teams, and he's already said I'm not interested. So
Right.
he's still going to have his pick of where he wants to
Where,
go.
so where does he want to? What's the leading team?
Well, he did mention the Niners.
Okay.
He did mention Philly. He did mention the Saints, and then he
Oh,
said no to the
interesting.
Saints. He went back and forth.
Okay.
He would be good. I'm sorry, but he would be really good on the Saints with Drew Brees.
Oh, I know.
He
I
would
know.
be because I mean, look at Brandon
good.
Cooks on that team. He was great. I think Dez would be great on the Saints.
Yeah. So there are some options, you know, that he has, and it'd be interesting to see where he
I
lands.
hope he
'cause it's
picks the
kind of-
chemistry because that's going to be where
Right.
he'll be set apart is the chemistry with the other players.
Right,
so.
and then I do see him staying. I would say he stays in the NFC though. So
All
I
right.
kind of like to see the
Yeah.
revenge if he stays in the NFC East.
right.
Just to
I mean,
one of
Me
those
too.
teams.
Or is it a flip flop and Dez goes to the Giants and you know Odell
OBJ.
goes to the Cowboys, or does Dez say, "Hey,
Sure.
Odell, I'll go with you. I'll be the
what a
number. I'll be
team
the, I'll
that
be
would
the
be.
number 2 receiver." I don't see him ever wanting to be number 2. So I don't know. There's a
Right.
lot of different scenarios that could happen, but it's exciting.
It
You know,
is.
I mean, I'm starting now
A
trying
little bit
to
of
think
drama. We love it. We love the
I'm
drama.
over
Cowboy
like
drama.
my depression now. I'm starting to just hope to, he ends up with the Niners.
Yeah, new slate. Well, there you go. That would be
There.
kind of a clean slate.
Right. What else is going on
Oh,
back in
boy.
News, especially
So good.
NHL? Which
Yes.
do you have Kings earrings on?
I do. You
And,
guys.
and a Kings
Kings
shirt on.
earrings.
You've got
Okay.
all
A
your
Kings
you've
shirt.
got all your rally stuff on.
I
This
do.
is pretty funny.
I do. I have my King shirt on. I have my earrings.
You're very positive though that they're
Okay.
going to get out of this.
I have
Because
one
I'm
thing.
hearing no.
I have
no.
one thing to say.
What?
2014 people, because
Exactly.
they were down
That's
3-0
true.
to the San Jose
And
Sharks
I
in Game
actually
3.
went to one of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to me, and again, I worked for the team for both Stanley Cups. This team is resilient. This team has nothing to lose. They play hard. They fight hard. They had one of the best games they've ever played in game 2 or game 3. I'm sorry. And it just came down to composure for the Knights, which is why they took it.
So what do they need to do to beat the Knights?
They need to keep playing their physical hockey, which is what they did all of Game 3. It just
Okay.
came down to they have this tradition where they lose a goal or their team scores and they just get in their heads, and they need to not get in their heads. They're going to come back tonight playing so hard. I'm so excited. I can't wait. But
and that game is in Vegas.
it's
or
in, no,
here?
it's in
No,
LA.
it's here.
It's
It's
here.
here.
Yes,
Okay.
it's in LA. Game 4. They
So the
have
home
to win
crowd
tonight.
needs to be.
Well, and Staples Center is one of the loudest
Yeah, it
buildings.
is.
It's
It is
amazing.
very
Going to a
loud.
Kings
Yeah.
game there and just,
It's fun.
it's so fun.
It's-
I went to the
Even though I'm Sharks
final.
fan.
Ugh.
I know you are, but okay. Well, so we'll go into that. So if you've lived in a cave or under a rock, the Sharks, you guys, 3-0. The Ducks have lost 3 games. They are in a do or die situation tomorrow. So I mean, we could lose LA and
LA
Ducks
could lose
in 2
it, and
days.
it'd just
Yeah.
be just like the NBA.
Yeah.
No teams.
I'm not
in-
gonna really
We're
mind
not
the
going to go
Ducks
there.
going out, but
I think that the Kings will definitely win tonight. I'm not sure how I feel about the Ducks. I know you're a Kings
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah, I'm a Kings fan,
But I'm
so
all
sorry.
about SoCal hockey. It's
sorry,
happening.
Ducks fans. I can't.
I know.
Like, I know they're so confident.
know.
I can't.
They're a good organization, though. They're a great playoff team. But this is just proof in the pudding that San Jose has had kind of a lackluster season,
Right.
and they just
I do know
played
that,
playoff
yeah.
Flip
hockey.
that switch, which is,
Yeah.
and they made it to the Stanley Cup final a couple years ago, so they have the team to do so.
They have the
Like,
ingredients, absolutely.
So what else is going on in hockey though?
Oh my gosh! Well, I've been in Western Conference land, but the East is just happening the way it is. The Washington Capitals, one of the best teams in regular season, down 2 games again. They just can't. They can't seem to get the recipe for the playoffs. So, do you know anything about the Caps?
Yeah, I don't know. Talk like
Yeah.
the average NHL fan. I know Ovechkin hasn't. It's just they're a team. I know Brain Holtby is he on the team?
Yeah.
There we go. Look at me go.
Look at you go,
Talking that hockey.
David.
But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I have no idea what to say about them, their shortcomings. They should be winning these games.
Yeah.
And like a team, they remind me a lot, kind of just based on like star player of like the Pens. And the Pens, I know, had that great game against the Flyers, and the Flyers came back and had that great game, and then the Pens came back and had that great game. So
Yeah.
they're not
That's a
out.
2-1 series as well. But
That's
the
a
Pens,
2-1 series.
The Pens are also so disciplined when it comes to playoffs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
It's like NBA.
Right. It's
So
very
it
like
doesn't
NBA.
matter how well you do during the regular season. It's a clean
Oh
slate.
yeah, playoffs are always totally different.
Exactly.
It's a totally different stage.
So
So okay, and you're going
yeah.
to the game tonight.
I'm 98% going to the game tonight.
Let's go.
So I'll find
Please
out after
go
the
and
show's
root
over.
on
I
the
know.
Kings.
Well,
Like, we need it.
I got to be there with
Kings
my
need it.
fans.
Yeah, and I don't know. I actually
gonna be so good.
Even though I root for the Sharks, I actually do like the Kings
Yeah.
because the Kings are really good in the community, especially with
good.
animals
So
in the
good.
military. So I always have to.
They are huge on charitable.
And I
things.
think we have our guest on, David.
Fabulous.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? You land safely in San Antonio?
I did. I'm here.
Good. How's it going over there already?
It's hot.
That's good.
So, David, we'll get right into this. Before we, talk about, since you're in San Antonio, before we talk about Cavs stuff, what is the real deal on Kawhi Leonard? I mean, is this it for him with the Spurs? What's going on with this injury? And kind of elaborate on this for maybe what you can tell us.
Well, I don't know that I don't know that it's over between them. They obviously are going to have some significant work to do when the season's over. I think it seems to me both sides are kind of in agreement that he probably should stay away from the team while the playoffs are going on, because if he's not playing for whatever reason, it just becomes a huge distraction.
Right.
So He's not here. He's not in San Antonio. He's not going to be in San Antonio. And during this series, I'm pretty sure, and I doubt even if they were to come back, I'd be surprised if he came back at all. So they're going to have to do some repairs because there's obviously been a major kind of schism between the two sides this year. Now, that doesn't mean it's unfixable, because if you remember a year ago about this time, just about everybody who was supposedly smart in the NBA said that they were going to trade LaMarcus Aldridge. They're going to get rid of him. The relationship was irreparable, and there's nothing they could do. And, he winds up having maybe his best season ever and has become a real leader. So I'm not going to sit here, months before free agency and say there's absolutely no chance they can repair the relationship. But it's going to take some work, and it's going to probably take both sides kind of having a real kind of honest accounting of themselves and what it is they want and how they're willing to accomplish those things. And if, the other person involved in this is the person that can help them get to what they want, and so the Spurs are going to have to be real honest with themselves, and I think Kawhi's going to have to be honest with himself. I don't think it has anything to do with his quad. Let's put it that way. I think what's going on between these two has nothing to do with the injury that he suffered. I think it has to do more with whose vision is going to win out here.
Yeah, and seeing Pop in his presser yesterday, David, he seems pretty upset. Like he doesn't even want to discuss Kawhi. Obviously, they're in the playoffs. They don't want a distraction, but you can tell Pop is not in his corner at all in the situation.
Well, I think that, look, everybody, at this time of year, especially if you're in the playoffs, you want to win. You're a competitor. This is the highest level of competition. And, the Spurs, without Kawhi Leonard, have a very difficult time, will have a very difficult time winning any playoff series. With Kawhi Leonard, they have a chance to win any playoff series. So I think, the frustration, if it is there, is obvious, I think, because Kawhi's one of the 10 best players in the league. And you could make an argument he's one of the 5 best players in the league when he's healthy and playing. Nobody is a better two-way player than he is. Nobody. There's nobody in the league that's a better two-way player than Kawhi Leonard. And, he is an elite level defensive player and has really kind of improved his game every year he's been in the league. And so they, with him, they have a chance to go far, and without him, they don't have a chance to do very much. And I think that would certainly lead to frustration on the part of a franchise that's kind of used to competing for championships.
Right. Sure. Switching to the Heat, D. Wade passed Larry Bird for 10th all-time scoring list. Do we see a new D. Wade, like a rejuvenated Dwayne Wade out there?
I guess Gabrielle doesn't think he's rejuvenated, right? She seems to.
I mean, is there a lot more left in the tank?
No, I mean, I think he had a great night last night. No question. He was, the old D Wade, not old D Wade, but the old D Wade, and played very well. The challenge for anybody once they get to the level and the age that Dwayne has is, can you repeat that? That's going to be the challenge going forward. And the thing that's in his favor, when you're in the playoffs, obviously you get all these days off in between games. You don't have any back-to-backs. The travel is very limited, and so he will have ample opportunity physically to prepare himself. I don't think there's any doubt mentally he knows what to do. It's just a matter of whether he can execute at a certain age. It was great. I think, Steve Kerr said this last night, when you win a game one easy, game two becomes a nightmare for the team that won game one.
Right.
Because
It's true.
just human tendency. Human tendency is just kind of relax and say, we got this. We beat him, we killed him in game one, we're going to kill him again in game two, and you don't bring the juice, and the other team does, because they know they have to win game two. And so you saw that last night with Miami and with San Antonio. Even though they lost game two, San Antonio played much harder and much better than they did in game one. And so you know that's coming. The problem for Miami is that even though they broke Philly's win streak and it was a big win and it gives them a great chance in this series, you got that monster Embiid chomping at the bit to play, and at some point Philly's going to have to let him go, and I think maybe game three.
What was funny is, did you see Kevin Hart and Dwayne Wade, David, going back and forth, kind of the little trash talk that they're doing? Is that kind of gotten D Wade kind of pumped up and ready?
Well, I would say this, the great players don't need much motivation, right?
Right,
so if they find something, they take something, any piece of fuel and use it. And maybe that was it for Dwayne last night. It could have been. They motivate themselves so fast and without much at all, and they can really kind of pump themselves up to another level. And if that got him going, then that would not surprise me, because that's what great players do. They sometimes create slights that aren't even there so that they can get themselves jacked up to play. So if Kevin Hart was talking a little junk to him, and that got Dwayne going, then yeah, I could see that. I could see that, because that's what great players just need a little bit.
A little bit,
sure.
Right.
Yeah. David speaking, one David to another. Just I know you're in San Antonio, but jumping over to a different city there. The Houston game in the Houston series, we saw that first game. If I'm Houston, Mike D'Antoni and the Rockets, should I be worried that if Harden did a little worse and Karl-Anthony Towns did a little better, we could have lost to an 8 seed?
Well, it's the playoffs. I mean, anybody comes to anybody. I mean, it's the playoffs. These are all good teams. And so nothing should surprise you at this level. A team like Minnesota's got nothing to lose, so they're going to play free and easy, and they're going to play loose. And nobody expects them to win anyway, so they can just kind of play, and they have no pressure on them. The pressure was getting into the playoffs for Minnesota because they hadn't been in so long. So now that they're here, they're just going to nobody has any sense that they're going to beat Houston, so they can just kind of play and play with the wind at their back, sort of. So, that's a problem for Houston. But look, Houston's a better team. So, I mean, if Houston plays the way Houston plays, the way they've played all season, they're going to beat Minnesota. They're just better. So it's a matter of Houston picking up its own game and executing a little bit better than they did in Game 1. But still, even though they didn't even play all that well, they still won the game. And that's the only thing that matters in the playoffs, is winning the game. What you can't do is lose games that you should win in the playoffs.
For sure.
And they didn't do that.
Yeah, believe me, I've seen my fair share of losing the games. You gotta win in the playoffs. But I kind of want to switch over to Paul George was a guy we saw all season, especially last season and seasons before in his career, be a great player. But this season kind of playing under that system, a little not what we wanted, but now in the playoffs, dropping 30-plus, winning that game versus Utah. Is this, in your opinion, do you think this is a playoff Paul George, or is Russell Westbrook going to come back and completely take over his team and just not allow them to go far?
I think every game is different, and so you can't really kind of project towards the following game based on what happened before, because every team adjusts. And so, Paul got off in Game 1. Utah's going to do more to try to show him more bodies in Game 2, try to show him more length, try to let him finish over length, make him finish over length, make him get the ball out of his hands. And he knows that, so his natural proclivity is going to be, when he sees the double coming, he's going to move the ball instead of forcing stuff. So by design, and also kind of just by instinct, someone who has a great offensive game in one playoff series tends to have not as great an offensive game in the next series, because there's just so much attention paid to him by the other team. So it's up to Westbrook and Carmelo, who played very well in Game 1, to make those shots. If Utah aggressively tries to get the ball out of Paul's hands, or make him, finish over multiple bodies, and that's what a good team does. They understand what's going to come, and they anticipate, and they get the ball to the next guy. You saw that with Golden State last night. I mean, folks knew they were going to try to get the ball out of Durant's hands, and Durant just moved the ball, and Klay Thompson killed him. You know what I mean? So that's what good teams do. And so again, it'll be up to the other guys to make shots.
Yeah.
Hey, David, Becky here. Question for you. How are we feeling about the Cavs? Now, that's a pretty big loss against Indiana, and now Indiana's firing back, saying, well, we've been playing this way all year, and then it's just now being highlighted. So, Cam, are we to worry about this score, their first game?
If you're a Cavs fan, yeah, you should be worried.
Sure.
You should be worried, because they've been a bad defensive team all year, and they continue to be a bad defensive team. And, Indiana is a very good executing offensive team. They move the ball, they get the ball to the right guy in the right spot. They've got a guy in Oladipo who's playing not just at a high level, but at an efficient level as well.
Sure.
So good, so
Versatility.
And so,
Oh, God.
yeah, and Bogdanovich is a guy who makes shots. He has great range. He can make shots. Sabonis has played very well for him. Turner. See, I think Turner going into the series, I thought would be a problem for the Cavs because the Cavs' best lineup has been with Kevin Love at center, and most centers can't go out and guard Kevin Love out there because most centers don't want to come out of the paint. But Miles Turner, with his length and his footwork, he's able defensively, I think, to guard Kevin better, more effectively than most big men would be able to. And so that advantage that Cleveland has had over a lot of teams playing small, I don't think is great against a team like Indiana. So, but look, again, like I said before, the Cavs stunk the joint out in Game 1. They're going to play harder and better in Game 2, and they'll be at home. And so even though I know Indiana is going to talk about we're going to get greedy, and everybody says that, but human nature, again, is we got the split. That's what we came here to do. Let's just get home and try to get these 2 wins at home.
Sure.
And they will try to win Game 2, and they will play hard, but I suspect you'll see a much better effort from Cleveland in Game 2.
Sure.
Now, David, over and over again, you saw that Coach Lou kept saying, you guys need to be more aggressive. They need to have more intensity. They lacked intensity. Do you agree with that the only thing was just being more aggressive, especially in the paint?
Well, I mean, you have to be better, too. I mean, it's the one, it's easy to say, be more aggressive, but you got to play better. You got to make
Yeah,
better
I mean, he said
decisions.
aggressive so many times that presser, like 4 or 5 times. That's all he kept saying was aggressive.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand he was in that game 1, Indiana dictated at both ends of the floor what was going to happen, and Cleveland was reacting. So I know what he's saying. You got to play downhill. You can't, especially offensively, you can't let the other team get you out of your comfort spots on the floor, the places where you want to go, and make you give the ball up, make you do things. You got to kind of assert your will. I think this is, look, LeBron, we all know how good LeBron is, and we all know that LeBron intellectually wants to move the ball, wants to pass the ball, but LeBron's got to not be intellectual in this series. I think LeBron's got to go out and go get 40.
Right.
I mean,
It's true. But are the Cavs at that point where they're so cocky and so they know at any point they can just flip the switch, David, and they're not even worried about this loss at all?
No, I don't think that's true. I think that they have appropriate fear, as Greg Popovich likes to say, of their opponent. They just didn't play well. Again, I mean, sometimes you just don't play well. You just don't have a good game. Like again, I'll go back to San Antonio. In Game 1, they didn't play well. It doesn't really matter what Golden State did. San Antonio didn't play well. In Game 2, they played a lot better. Now, they didn't win, but they played better. So that's kind of where you start with. So I don't think Cleveland's being arrogant or anything like that. I just think they're a flawed team.
So
I don't think they're very good defensively, and it's difficult for them to generate a lot of offense out of their defense. And that's how, in the playoffs especially, you have to score a lot of points off of defense because the other team's defense is usually pretty good in the playoffs. So you're not going to just walk the ball down and execute your offense and shoot 55, 57% against a set defense. Where you can score, where you can create opportunities out of your defense, off of turnovers, creating turnovers, forcing the other team to take bad shots, forcing them to take long shots, which leads to long rebounds, you get out and run. Well, Cleveland can't do any of that. Or at least they haven't shown they can do any of that all season long. They don't generate turnovers out of their defense. They don't get stops out of their defense. So what happens is the other team scores a lot, and that means Cleveland's always taking the ball out of the basket. So, I mean, it's not conducive to them getting out and running. So that's why I'm saying LeBron has got to just from jump. He can't use the first quarter to get Kevin Love going or to maybe get a basket for Larry Nance or to see if George Hill can make a jumper. No, he's got to go attack the basket, I think, from the beginning of the game and set the tone that he's going to go get 40 tonight because he can. He's that good. He can go get 40 every night. And so he needs to do that. And he needs to do that in Game 2, I think, for Cleveland to kind of right the ship a little bit.
And I think we will see that. But Lance Stevenson, I think he got in LeBron's head a little bit, David. A little bit.
Well, I don't know about that. I think Lance talks whether they're winning or losing. You know, he just happened to be winning the other night. So.
That's awesome.
It doesn't really compute. You know, it doesn't really. There's no correlation between Lance talking and whether the team's winning or losing.
Right.
He's talking anyway.
But so you do think, though, that the Pacers do have they are a good matchup because they too, offensively and defensively on both sides of the ball, you know, they can't keep up, though, with the Cavs.
Oh, no, no question. No, I think Indiana's a good team. Look, I was not just wrong about Indiana, I was loud wrong about Indiana. You know, after the trade with Paul George last summer, I thought they were going to be, you know, awful, to be a terrible team. And they weren't awful. They were a very, very good team. And you mentioned at both ends of the floor. And they're going to be, and they're formidable. I mean, they are a worthy opponent, and they've got to play a lot better to get back to this series. I think that the Pacers are they've got that chip on their shoulder. They don't think anybody respects them, and they can use that fuel throughout this series. Again, I think when Turner is on the floor and healthy and able to contribute at both ends, it just makes they are a very, very formidable team because they can score and they can defend and they play hard, you know. And so some nights they miss shots, but they usually play hard. And so that's going to be, you know, that's something that Cleveland is going to have to match in terms of that team's intensity on the floor. And then again, I just think LeBron's going to have to go take over this series.
So many people were upset when Paul George left the Pacers, but right now, David, Oladipo or Paul George, who do you take right now?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, it's a fair question. Just because a body of work over a long period of time, I still think Paul George, when he's fully engaged, is so disruptive a force at both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. And that's not a criticism of Victor Oladipo at all. I like Victor a lot. Victor's one DeMatha like I am, you know, the greatest high school in the history of the United States. So I'm always supporting Victor. You know, I think Paul George has got a level of outstanding play that he's shown throughout many years in the playoffs where he's put up monster numbers. I just think he has, you know, more experience maybe in postseason play and excelling in postseason play. But, you know, Victor this year, there's not much difference between him this year. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Good stuff. Thank you so much. Well, we want to, before we let you go, play a fun little game of this or that. Are you ready to play with us?
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so it's
Fire
rapid
away.
fire. I'm sure you've heard of it, but I'm going to ask you this or that, and then you'll let us know. So Olympics or FIFA World Cup?
Ooh.
Think about that.
Olympics. Okay, well, you've covered them, so that's pretty spectacular.
Yes.
Now, if you were to attend any sporting event, would you rather go as a fan or a reporter?
Oh, wow. Any sporting event?
Any sporting event.
Any sport, I guess as a reporter, just because that's what I've been doing for so long.
Sure.
Good
Well,
choice, good choice.
a different perspective. All right, on the topic of NBA, Cavs or Golden State? East
This
or
year?
West? Yeah, well, East or West. Come
State.
on. Golden State.
Yeah,
All right,
Golden
all right.
State.
Yeah.
So record player or radio station?
Old school. Old
We're
school.
going old school with these questions.
I love it.
Wow.
I know.
That's a good one. You know, I'm more nostalgic about record players. I have more control over what I put on the record player. So
Yeah.
I'll go record player.
Vinyl.
Good
Y'all
stuff.
don't even know what a record player is. Why?
Well, on the topic of arenas, since you attend so many events, if you were walking through the concourse, would you get nachos or a hot dog?
Hot dog. It's hard to mess up a hot dog.
No
That's right.
hesitation. Hot dog.
I love it. Okay,
That one
and
ready.
since you travel so much, do you prefer plane or boat? Do you like cruises or being on a plane?
Oh my God!
He doesn't take a boat
anything
anywhere.
Is better,
Taking
anything
boats
is better than
places.
being on a plane. I prefer walking to being on a plane, so I'll take the boat.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for playing. What a delight to have you on our show today.
Yes, thanks, David. And you're covering where you're in San Antonio, so you're covering the rest of that series. And then where do you go after that? Do you
Correct.
know? Do you know where you're?
Don't know yet. Yeah, no, they haven't told us yet.
Okay.
It always depends on who wins in the
round?
first
Okay.
round. But we do have the Western Conference Finals, so my guess is they'll stay out west, but I don't know that for sure.
Perfect. Okay, well, I hope to run into you. It's always good to see you, and you're just so fabulous, so knowledgeable, and we love having you. So thank you so much, David, for your time.
Well, I appreciate you all having me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
He's good, huh?
Oh, so good.
So informative. Good
he
stuff.
knows everything. That's why.
why he does it for a living, yeah.
I had to have him on. He was good. I think it's fun when we do the this or that,
I
David,
like
because
it.
it kind of throws them off because they're so like in the zone about talking
yeah.
X's and O's, and then we get them hot dogs or nachos,
It's
and
just
they're like,
fun.
oh,
It gives us
yeah.
it gives a personal side to each guest, and we get to learn something new. The fans get to learn something new. So
Yeah, it's good. And I agree with them. I mean, God, but I do think that series, I mean, even let's just say LeBron and the Cavs win tomorrow, I still think that's
gonna be a
I
hot
think it's going to
series.
go for a while.
I think it's going to go for a long while.
I don't know how long, but I still think it's going to be very competitive, because I was actually shocked that Indiana took that first game.
Yeah,
so
me too. I
At home, on the road.
On the road in Cleveland against LeBron James.
Right.
I mean, what more can be said
But
about
I think
LeBron James?
I think the Cavs came out flat and just were like, lackadaisical about what it is. And I just think if you go out there and you're LeBron James and you do what LeBron does and is a monster,
right. Well,
that's it. They'll bury him.
and they played game 83 instead of playing a
Yeah.
game.
They gave up.
First game. Of the
they gave
playoffs.
up for sure because they thought, okay, this is our first game. We can go at them next game. But
They weren't too concerned.
you need to see more, like he was talking about. You need to see LeBron getting 40 and 5 assists versus 20 and 10 assists.
Right. Sure.
That's what you need. You need LeBron because LeBron's a player that when he wants to score, he's gonna. You're not stopping LeBron
Right.
entire rest of the NBA. Just let him do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
But but that's the thing. If he gets too selfish, then you're gonna have a problem. Because with every single I know Russell Westbrook, he's a player that can rather go for a triple-double
Triple-double.
than go for a win.
Yeah,
and that
individual
does not,
stats.
They have players, but it doesn't help them win championships. So you
got to spread the ball around.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
LeBron could just get too selfish.
But the other thing,
But try
too,
it.
that there's a lot of bench guys that this is their first playoff experience, and a lot of them don't understand, like, wow,
Yeah.
you look at Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson and some of those guys, these kids are like, oh my gosh, this is a whole, I'm going to say the nerves got to them a little bit too.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're going to see, a difference in that. And they got to make sure to feed the ball to Kevin Love.
Oh,
Caleb's got to,
he's
he's got to be demanding that ball, and he's got to get it and be just more
He's
aggressive
got to be
himself.
Kevin Love.
Yes.
Really.
And
'cause-
so there's a whole lot of things that I think we'll see differently
that.
in game 2, and it could be, they could bury them.
It'll be
a blowout.
It'll be a
But-
fun
they could.
series.
I'm excited for it.
But before we go, I want to talk a little bit about Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, we do need to. That's big in the news right now.
Yes, and I'm a huge boxing fan.
Sure.
So, and I love Freddie Roach. And so to see
Yes.
that, especially now
Since
hearing-
2001, they've been together.
Yes, and to hear that Freddie did not even know what was going on until Manny
media, yeah.
had his press conference. That's a little bit, I would take that personally.
Sure.
Because he's kind of been like a father to him. And
Sure.
we get it that Manny doesn't want to come to the States anymore to train, but it's still, I don't know, I think it was a little...
Tact. There was no tact in that, but
that-
Manny's
Yeah.
fighting it and saying that his people let his people know. So it's hard to know what's the truth.
And
People
the big
his
thing
people.
is
Yeah.
that we have been hearing now that Manny was really upset that with some of the things that Freddie Roach said after his last fight, that that he can't be politician, Mr. President of the Philippines, and also try to be world class fighter. So I think those were some comments that Pacquiao and his team were not happy about, and that might be a little bit. You know how people are just so sensitive, and just that kind of affected him.
Yeah.
And so right now, it looks like Boo Boy, who is one of his guys you see in his corner a
Sure,
lot. It's like
sure.
I want to say it's like his homeboy that he's had for
Well, they're
ever.
like family.
Yeah,
Sure.
he's going to be training him. That is what they're saying, that he will be.
How do you feel about that,
for the
though?
Matisse fight? I don't know.
How do you think boxing fans
Because you
feel about
still
it?
need to have that one guy in the corner like a Freddie Roach that can actually tell him what to do in his corner. When Boo Boy knows. I'm not saying he doesn't know boxing, but you know what I mean. Like you still need to have like a
it's
real
The
important.
expertise of
Roach,
Roach,
and
yeah.
you look at like Mayweather Senior or Garcia, like those trainers, they would be the ones that would be maybe a best fit for Manny, but at the same time, like they're not.
Yeah, no.
What a move! What a move!
crazy.
They've
Well,
been.
If Manny ever fights Lomachenko, that couldn't happen with Garcia, and then
Sure.
so I don't know. There's a lot of things that I just think he has to have a real trainer. Is what I'm trying to get.
Yeah,
at.
because
course.
you need like it's in those moments where you just feel down and you have your guy come and say, like, you got this. Just go out there, do what we did.
Well,
do
they
what
need
you
the
do.
poise of
Yeah.
he needs the poise of Roach, and also they've won
It's-
so many titles together.
Yes.
Roach has been inducted in the Hall of
you
Fame.
just-
Right.
You need that.
Yeah.
As a fighter, to get that energy, because boxing is a sport of skill for sure, but it's also a sport of heart. It's
Right.
one of the
Well, it's
biggest
in the head,
sports
yeah.
of heart and will. And if you have a guy that can that can wheel you to a victory,
Yeah.
and you just get rid of him like that, it's not
Right.
It's
and,
not.
And I'm not
you're not
saying
thinking.
that, Manny is a professional and he can do this without a trainer,
Well,
he's
he's
been there.
amazing.
But I still think everyone needs that one. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I
Tom
know
Brady
exactly
needs
what you mean.
Belichick. I mean, at the end of the day,
Yes.
you just need
You need your
someone.
team,
So
yeah.
the Matisse fight, maybe he can get by, which is having Boo Boy and a couple of his guys in his corner. I don't know. We will see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How that
Do you think
works out, and does he go back to Freddie?
I was just going to say, do you think Freddie will be okay with that?
And
after
Freddie's
this
been
break?
so taking the high road, saying,
Good.
whatever he wants to do, I'm always
Okay.
going to be in his corner and
Sure.
support him. And he basically was very diplomatic to what he said, because he does feel that Manny's like a son, but I don't think he's pretty hurt.
I was just going to say, what happens after July?
16 years,
Yeah, what happens after July if
Yeah.
he's like, oh, I want you back? Is he going to
right?
be back in his corner? Like, I don't know. It's hard to know what'll happen.
Yeah, we'll see. So we'll see. I'm a huge Pacquiao fan, so it's kind of like,
Who isn't? He's made such an imprint.
I'm
Oh,
excited
for
to
sure.
see this welterweight, fight too with Matisse in July.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be rooting for Manny. I know everyone's like, he's done. He's older.
Yeah,
but those hands, they're quick.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match for sure. Well, we'll keep up the news on that. Also, in other news, Brianna Daniels and the NASCAR world first African American female to be in the pit crew.
Wow.
Huge. Yeah, she was.
I did not know this.
Part of on Friday and Saturday she was in the pit crew. So it's
Really?
huge. Yeah.
Whose team is this?
Woo! In NASCAR, so she was in the pits. It's a big deal.
Well, whose team is she in the pit for?
She was with Team Xfinity. And the driver,
who's the driver
We'll get back to you
Yeah.
on the driver. But yeah, she had a pretty substantial
Driver
weekend.
coming
So
That's huge.
good
though.
stuff. Yeah, really good stuff.
And then you said you had stuff going on also with the WNBA. And
Yeah.
I'm bad about, I'll be honest.
Well,
I don't follow
I-
WNBA. I just,
They
I
had
don't
their
mind.
draft. They had their draft on the 12th, I believe. So keep your eyes open. I guess there's a lot of moves that are happening. Some women that are going to be doing some big things. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this summer.
Right. Okay, so I guess, we have the games that are coming up tonight,
Yeah.
Becky, which are
All right, guys.
NBA.
NBA
playoffs.
games. Yeah, let's get NBA up. We've got tonight, oh my gosh, Washington and Toronto. We've got Milwaukee and Boston, New Orleans and Portland. What do you
All
guys
good
think on
games.
that?
All good games. Yeah.
Who's
all
gonna
good,
take 'em?
good,
I'm-
all good games.
I'm gonna say Toronto. I just
Yeah.
think they're at home. It's a 1 versus an 8. I don't think Washington has that punch.
Yeah.
I'd say, you know what? I'm gonna say the Bucks.
Okay.
Personally,
Really?
I'm gonna say the Bucks. Yes, because personally, I do want the Bucks to go far. I like Bledsoe.
Yeah.
I like
Okay,
Antetokounmpo.
well-
That's my effort his name.
Right. So
But-
you like the Bucks, but who's going to, but
But no, I think
Yeah.
they can
Okay.
because I think they're going to just take advantage of the shorthandedness of the Celtics, and I don't think Rozier can do it every single night.
yeah, it's
That's
there's
the
a
thing.
lot on his shoulders right
If
now.
Rozier, because Rozier's dropping 23
But-
last game, he's not doing that, they're not going to win.
It's still crazy how well the Celtics are playing, though, with having so many injuries. And
Sure.
just-
From the
and
beginning of the season.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the
Right now.
season when Hayward went
Right
out,
when
they
Hayward-
still play great.
That's why you always wonder
Congrats,
sometimes. It's
Steven.
amazing
Yeah.
to see the chemistry when sometimes the star
Sure.
player goes down. But
How about Portland, though, in New Orleans?
That's a
I'm
toss-up
gonna
right
go.
there.
I'm gonna go New Orleans
Okay.
again.
I'm going to say Portland. I'm
gonna
going to say
go
I
New
got to
Orleans.
stick by Portland, of course. Always.
Yeah,
You-
I don't.
yeah.
I don't think they're gonna have another answer for Damon CJ.
Sure.
I think they had an answer once, and I think Drew Holiday played great defense. But if he can't do that every single game,
But
they're
you're
not gonna
forgetting
win.
about AD though.
But it's AD. But AD's dropping
he's
35.
He's having to do everything right
but
now.
he's doing. If you can't have a guy like that, because today's NBA is dominated by the guards and the shooters. It's no longer a centers and power forwards game.
No, it's you live by the three and die by the
That's
three.
exactly.
It's
So
all about that. And
he can
it's
drop
funny. Speaking of that, teams
40
that
seconds
hit. Let's see, who was the stats that I was given for the three? 9-1.
Mm-hmm.
Who makes with a team that makes more 3-pointers?
Wow.
Yeah.
And then also 9-1 with the 3-point percentage. Yeah,
You
Sure.
live and die by the
So
three.
and,
That's
and
so
that's and it's
true.
Well,
so
that's what
funny
hurt
how
the
much.
Cavs,
But
though,
it's so
wasn't it,
funny
in
how
the
much
Olympics?
it's
Yeah.
changed though.
Yeah.
The game of basketball.
Because
NBA.
look at old players and some of the great big guys, centers like Bill
Oh,
Russell, Wilt, Kareem.
Yeah, Shaquille,
Centers, yeah, of
Duncan.
course.
Yeah.
And now it's much more of a guards game. You
David
don't
Robinson,
see,
yeah, it's totally
exactly.
changed.
You don't see even the
Steph, he changed everything.
Yeah.
Steph did change everything. That's
Even
for sure.
teams with like Cousins, like on the Pelicans,
Right.
you don't see them getting the 1 seed because it's not they don't have the guard to do
Yeah.
so, even though they got the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The new
that's
Twin
why
Towers,
it's crazy how much it's changed. That's why, and people like it. It's
fan.
exciting.
I like it.
I love the outside shooting, but we got to wrap this up.
We do. Well, hold on. I found the driver for Daniels.
yes,
she
let
was
us know.
Cody War, which
Okay.
is, I mean,
Right.
she was on his car and Xfinity team. So
nice.
go. Yeah, nice guy. Nice guy.
That's guy.
We will be back next Tuesday, same time. We have a surprise guest next week as well. So we will see you next week on the Weekly Pass here on AfterBuzz. I'm Bonnie Jill Laflin at BJ Laflin and at Bonnie Jill on Facebook and Instagram.
That's right. Where can they find you,
Oh, you
sir?
can find me. I am David Bloom. You can find me at David H. Bloom on Instagram and Twitter. Come give me some.
That's right.
Make me feel better about the Clippers.
Thanks for joining us today. That was fun.
Let me know how good they are. Yeah, it was really
Anytime.
fun. Thanks for
can find
having me
Becky.
here.
You can find me on all social media at Becky Sattero. And also, please follow us on Twitter. Thank you for joining in on the chat. Go Kings, go.
Yes, and thank you to David
Second that.
Aldridge, our amazing guest from TNT. We will see you guys next week. Until then, see ya.
Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.